But I did have an excellent career. I think one of the best law enforcement agencies in the United States with the Connecticut State Police. And I was, you know, as Lori stated, I was very fortunate in my career to have experienced a lot of the different opportunities that it presented to me. I had 20 years in the field. I was a fatal accident investigator. I had 25 years at the State Police dive team. We're all Navy trained, diving all over New England. But I think one of my most rewarding experiences was when I was selected to go to headquarters and working on a colonel's staff, and he sent me over to the Department of Transportation and look into something DOT was proposing as incident management, traffic incident management, the forerunner. And it opened a world of opportunity, not just for my work with traffic safety and speed enforcement, seatbelt enforcement, the typical programs you would associate with law enforcement, but it gave me an idea in working with DOT about the valuable information and the response information that we could get from a cooperative effort. Normally in the past, it had been you needed DOT for a light pole down, you needed DOT for icing conditions, you needed DOT to replace guardrails or traffic cones in the middle of the night as such. And it was a one-stop shopping. Okay, in Connecticut, we are the third smallest state, one of the original 13 colonies, okay, but we're approximately 29th when it comes to population in the United States. So we start to move up the ladder a little bit. We're approximately 29th also when it comes to vehicle miles traveled. When you look at it, we have a lot of big roads. We are the gateway to New England. And we see a lot of the traffic that comes up and down 95, Interstate 84, throughout New England, through the Canadian Maritimes, moving goods and services. You know, rail transportation in Connecticut, the commercial side of it is very limited at this point. When you look at rail service through Connecticut, you're talking Amtrak and people movers. Metro North goes into New York. So we don't get a lot of the opportunity to move goods and services through the rail, so it comes on rubber, comes up through our roadway system. So anytime we can interfere with that traffic, not that we'd like to, it creates a havoc with it. But you know, we recognized back in 1983, okay, I'll date myself, I was working the day the Mayanas Bridge collapsed. In fact, I was in a wetsuit. We had 3 victims, unfortunately, there, and 3 people lived off the bridge. But in the Howard Avenue fire in 2004, it shut down 95. Okay, we had nowhere to go. We put it on the Boston Post Road. Route 1, which goes from Maine to Key West. And a little bit of trivia, this roadway sign at the end of Route 1 in Key West is one of the most stolen signs in the United States. But DOT realized that we needed to do something more than just react in knee-jerk reaction or by the seat of your pants, okay? We had just graduated a state police class of approximately 90-some-odd troopers. They had been on the road for a month. They called all those troopers back, and they manned signposts on Route 1 because the local police departments were overwhelmed with the traffic. We needed a better way to coordinate traffic and such. So what DOT did was we organized a highway operations group to work with CSP. When I went to headquarters in 93, that was one of my assignments as such. We opened up our first traffic management center. Now you talk about data sharing. I'm going to say this was an analog system at this point. But what DOT did was for all law enforcement fire needs in Connecticut, we don't have county government in Connecticut. So it's either local or state. And state police have 100% responsibilities for all interstates, highways in Connecticut, and approximately 99.44% of responsibilities for limited access highways. But heretofore, if you needed a particular resource from DOT, you had to call the individual garage. There's 4 districts throughout Connecticut and approximately 28 different garages. So if you needed light electrical, there would be a certain person in one side of the state versus another. And you had to keep those contact informations up to date. So in 1994, ConnDOT, one of the first things they did was they established their operations center. Okay, it was first established in Wethersfield. They moved to Newington. And with a single call, you called the highway operations group. There were no cameras. There was just banks of phone calls and radios. And they would do all the contact for you. From there, it started a planning session that we were involved in. They said, well, if we can do that, why don't we open up a highway operations center? And since we're expanding the I-95 and we need better signaling, we put a camera system in. So we planned and we put a fiber optic backbone up on Interstate 95, 55 miles, 55 cameras at that time from the New York, Connecticut line up into Brantford, Connecticut. And where to house this? So the idea came that we do a combined center. We were updating the old barracks at Troop G, which at that time was in Westport, and it was decided to move to a better building in Bridgeport, the old Sears Automotive Center in Bridgeport, which became a state property. So at that point, we opened up the Sears Automotive Center with the new Troop G, State Police Operations, and the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Southern Group, Highway Operations Group, that maintained and viewed the cameras. And this was our next step from analog because it was in the same dispatch area. We had overcome some of the issues with the security of the state police computer terminals. Okay, they're not viewed from a DOT level, but the troopers found this was a great resource. The ability to look in and dial in on the cameras to get a better detail of the information, okay, where the accident was occurring, what it was, where we can direct fire resources, EMS resources, because oftentimes when you're getting 911 calls, the calls that are coming in, the personnel may not be right at the scene. They're looking for their next available location point. Could be a half a mile on, could be a mile on. So it could be going the other way. Are you aware of this? So this real-time system really started our partnership between DOT and state police, okay? Again, because it was co-located, okay? The Bridgeport Operations Center, or BOC, okay, again, began in 1995, okay? And it was the first combined operations center in the United States. In fact, if you can remember some of the old newscasts from CBS, they usually utilize on holidays and everything. They come up with a camera crew. Dan Rather broadcast there several times, and they would utilize the center there for their opening broadcast. Okay. From that, we were going to expand to the other parts of the state. So what happened was when DOT moved to the new building where its current headquarters is in Newington, we established the Newington Operations Center. These are manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so to speak, okay? And they cover different portions of the state. They have interoperability as far as that they can switch cameras. If one center were to go down, the other camera can pick it up, and vice versa. Over the years, what we've done, we've taken the signals and we have ported it on a secure fiber optic network to state police headquarters. They can distribute it to the 12 troops. Not that all troops need the camera systems, because in some areas of the state we do not have cameras. But for those troops that require it, the state police have the ability, they can port certain images in there. So the camera systems were one thing. From that, we developed the variable message sign system that's managed by the operations center, both at BOC and in the NOC. What happens is with the state police calling in for any kind of incidents, there's a quick clearance policy, there's an incident management policy which requires all the state police troops to notify the operations centers when there's a highway incident that's going to last longer than 15 minutes. And when they do that, the cameras normally will swing over, put there, they'll evaluate the situation. If need be, the BMS signs will go up. Although lately we've been noticing that Waves and the other travel information centers, which do get a portion of their information from CONDOT, puts that information out. It's pretty timely. It's pretty accurate too in Connecticut. But so there's that. They can provide a variety of other services, such as dispatching the essential personnel, the resources that are needed by all law enforcement and fire in Connecticut. What you're seeing here is a screen view of the operations center, dispatch center in Bridgeport. That front view, if you can see toward the right-hand corner, is a trooper on dispatch. He's got a tablet which you can also port down. It's very ergonomically correct. Okay, it's a It's a huge center. They have storm desks, which I'll get to, and the forward screens that you can see in the upper screens there are the DOT images, as well as some of the cameras that state police can pick and choose from. There. This is a side view of that where we have expansive personnel. If we're running a particular incident, okay, could be utilized for storms. An incident happened on the highway where we can push it aside so it doesn't interfere with normal state police or DOT operations. We've had presidential details, dignitary details, where we can run a command center off to the left from that. The information is shared. DOT and BLC and NLC are directly managed by CONDOT operations. Okay, the two operations center help fulfill our highway operations' primary responsibilities, which include ensuring the safe, efficient movement of traffic over the state highway network through roadway maintenance, snow and ice control, traffic incident management, traveler information, and the operation of the CONDOT State Farm Service Patrols. Both the BLC and NLC operations staff largely perform the same function, but within their respective geographic areas. I'm going to just flip to the next slide just to give you an idea of Connecticut's layout. And that red line kind of dictates, although it's on town boundaries, you know, the responsibilities are of each center, although they are overlapped. Okay, the more urbanized areas of Connecticut are Fairfield County, New Haven County, as such, Hartford County. So they do manage and they do coordinate their activities, you know, somewhat along those lines. The Operations Center are vital components of CONDOT's ITS implementation plan, whose primary goals are as follows: to facilitate a multi-agency, multi-department approach to highway transportation management and traffic safety, to mitigate both recurring and non-recurring traffic congestion, to facilitate mobility, to ensure that traffic-related activities are interchangeable, interoperable where appropriate, and to improve regional air quality, to promote consistency between existing and future traffic management equipment and facilities. Both Operations Center operate and manage the state's Advanced Traffic Management System, ATMS, and the Crescent System, which is an internal system for DOT to maintain and identify incidents and times of delay. It's the primary traffic management tool used by operators, generates response plans for both planned and unplanned events that can be approved, modified, or rejected by operators, as well as tracked and updated incidents. The CSP provides a redacted computer-aided dispatch link to CONDOT HOC operation. This allows the Newington HOC to receive updated information directly as it is inputted by troopers in the field or dispatchers at the troop. This information provides a level of detail, notification times for responding agency, extent of incident, arrival, clearance times. This redacted CAD does not provide detailed levels, example, operator and vehicle information, arrest information, etc., but allows CONDOT to examine response needs and times. This is what I'm talking about from our first levels of analog, which was a people-to-people kind of notification, and here's what you got, where a DOT operator up there can actually get some linkages in. This is where we've gone to that next level, and it's on a secure network with state police. The other thing that state police have provided to CONDOT is the state police system, the Connecticut telecommunications system. Within that, the state police maintain their own telephone network. Should AT&T, actually it's Frontier in Connecticut, is a primary network, but if that should go down, cell towers go down, state police still have within their capability and capacity the ability to communicate with other troops and other key agencies, such as DOT. Troopers lovingly refer to it as the bat phone, where a DOT operator in Newington can pick up a phone, punch a number, and get to any of the state police troops directly to, without passing go to a dispatcher. And the CSP, at the request of CDOT, is in the process of revising its CAD time logs to incorporate a roadway open or scene clearance time log. These additional timestamps will note when the roadway is open and when the last CSP trooper leaves an incident scene. This additional information will provide an opportunity for CDOT and CSP to examine scene clearance times and practices and aid in the development of future measures. This is a direct result of PIM participation by Connecticut. Okay, we realize that, yes, the crash reporting does give us certain things, and then with the MUX standards, they want to add some of the timestamps to it, but we realize also in Connecticut we've had additional incidents that have created roadway blockages, and we'd like to get a handle on those. So this is what we're looking for. Again, I've covered the CDOT provides a direct traffic camera linkage to CSP. CDOT has provided assistance for CSP to fit push bumpers to their patrol vehicles over the years as far as a TIM measure to remove disabled vehicles from the travel portion. It's also supported the CSP Traffic Services Unit, Accident Reconstruction Unit, acquiring equipment to aid in collecting scene evidence and documentation of traffic incidents that reduce collection times. The Traffic Service Unit continues to evaluate and identify new methodologies and equipment that will provide this timely and efficient scene documentation. One of the things we've noticed with providing this equipment is the level of detail. Okay, you'll hear your total stations are out there. Now they have laser stations that are out there, drones. But the level of detail that they provide in their maps and their scene reconstruction maps have proven to be an aid to the DOT engineers. Okay, they can readily take this information, these really, really acute mapping, okay, and accurate mapping, and look at it. It's overlaid on, most of the time they overlay it onto a GIS backbone, and they can look at the actual, what the troopers have in their investigation to evaluate it further for any kind of needs in engineering. Okay, our next steps. We're looking with partner agencies to evaluate strategic needs toward improving the safety of all transportation users. We're trying to reduce secondary crashes. And that is utilizing timely coordinated information sharing. That's what we're talking about the next level. Okay, that analog system, this whole webinar about what can our primary PSAPs transfer? What can our CAD systems, what can we share that would be of value? Because collecting data for the sake of collecting data is nothing. Okay, to establish a goal or to utilize that, try to evaluate it. That's what's important. It's not just the fact that we can clear crashes faster, but are we working more efficiently? Do we have the tools needed to do that? Are we getting the right people in there in a timely manner? So, that's what we're looking to provide, critical links and information in this timely manner. We're actively working with CSP to provide the seamless transfer of CAD data. Right now, it's a redacted screen. It's actually a separate terminal the way DOT has it up at the various stations. So you basically look at it, and if you need to port it into a DOT information system, it's still that manual effort. So part of it is dealing with some of the legacy systems. Although state police CAD system is certainly not a legacy system, some of the DOT reporting systems need to be updated, but it's a question of when. But those are some of the next steps we're looking to do to seamlessly move this information from one department to the other. And it's not just, I primarily talked about CONDOT and CSP, although we do port and talk with the fire services. They have direct lines to the operations center. We do provide camera images. We do not record our camera images. We have the ability they're online. The average citizen, public, and television news services use them all the time. But we maintain the ability at DOT to redact the camera. We don't want somebody being notified of the injuries or unfortunate death of a loved one on the 6 o'clock news. So we do utilize the camera systems very discreetly. Again, we don't tape the camera systems, and although we get constant calls on why, because it really has no useful to our process of handling traffic information to record incidents, but times and the ability to look at incidents or port it over to another agency so they may have a look at it as such is proven very valuable for us. Okay, but I have contact information. Again, I was pleased to look at the next step of data sharing. And again, Connecticut was the first to operate a combined operations center, and it's proven beneficial to this day. Okay, the ability, especially in that corridor, if you're looking at Connecticut to describe it, that is the most heavily traveled corridor we have throughout Connecticut, I think throughout the New England, New Jersey area, the tri-state area as such. So we have the ability to share this information, okay, but we are looking for the next step as to what is valuable to share, what data is valuable, real-time data to share as far as